This is episode 7, I think. Episode
Yeah.
7, I think. All right. So, fuck. So we did a whole 40 minutes of a show, and found out my mic had fucked up, and so yeah. Oops. My bad. I'm
You
still peeking out a little bit. Shit. I'm gonna turn myself down a little bit. La 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 la. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm good. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, let's turn a little louder. Milo, Milo, Milo. There we go. Okay. Sorry.
problem is whenever I go into a stream of something that I'm on, like on Sean's stream or
Mm-hmm.
on your stream,
Just mute yourself.
I always keep the volume on the video extremely low so that
Oh,
I don't hear it. And because also for whatever reason it seems like people can hear the audio
it's because
from
you have semi-open headphones.
possibly,
So
but
that's why there's audio bleed. It's just by a factor of that's why that allows you to hear behind you also. So it's like it's a
yeah.
trade-off.
So
I usually mute the
so
audio.
because of that, like I didn't notice.
Yeah,
So
it's fine.
yeah.
All right, so you want to start with City Slickers again, or should I just reset the list and delete the ones we talked about before?
Just yeah, never mind.
All right, the first movie we talked about is Karate Kill. I go delete the 2 movies that we don't want to talk about. Cool, no extra movies. Perfect. Karate Kill from 2016. The broken English description for this movie, not broken English, the badly worded English description for this is when a mysterious loner and a karate master, Kenji's little sister, goes missing. I guess his name's Kenji's little sister. Anyway, whoever stands in his way, whose way, of finding her, who's her, will face the wrath of the lethal Karate Kill. This is a perfect late night brain melter in which you turn it on and you don't have to think too hard because it's just like sister gets kidnapped after a few minutes of like character building. Guy goes crazy and beats and murders everybody with his fists until he saves her. That's the movie. I mean, like, I'm not spoiler alert, but also this is really fun. There was lots of
Anyway,
really well choreographed fight scenes, and my favorite, gratuitous gore.
I would say uh, it's very much style over substance, but that the style is good. The style in
Oh
this
yeah,
movie is very well done. So I was like, I can't be too mad that there's not much substance here. Not every movie has to be full of fucking substance. Not every movie is going to be Citizen Kane. So
oh yeah. I mean,
if you're just looking for something fun to
it's
watch, just
like
let's try.
it's well lit. You can see what's happening. It's decently edited, so like you're not like lost. There's characters here, but it doesn't waste any time, and it's right down to it. It knows why you're here. It knows why you put the movie Karate Kill on. You want to see this guy kill people with karate, and it does, in copious amounts. I would actually watch a sequel of this, by the way. If Karate Kill 2 showed up tomorrow, I'd be like, oh, I guess I know what we're watching, after midnight one night, because holy crap, that's awesome. Anyway.
So my favorite scene in this movie
Oh, yes.
takes place
Tell
in
us.
the bed of a like a semi truck, a trailer of a
Oh,
semi
shit.
truck.
Yes, that fight scene. Right.
And the
Okay.
reason is that the fight is being broadcast
Exactly.
to
A TV channel, I think. A legal TV channel, I think. Or
an
TV internet
illegal. I
stream.
think it's like a almost
It's like Twitch.
the dark web kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think
It's the
that
quote
the
unquote.
invitation is second place
It's the
on
quote
the
unquote
dark web.
dark web. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's being hosted by these white supremacist cult. Is the best way I can think to describe it.
Yeah, they look
Charles
like extras
Manson
from
white.
Mandy.
Yeah,
We gotta revisit
true.
that too. Been meaning to revisit it, and then now it's been on. Now it's on the last drive-in. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna do that eventually. But yeah, I really like this. Like I said, it's very simple to the point. Sister gets kidnapped, guy goes on rampage. Like there's like it wastes no time. It was just off to the races, gore, fight, smash. I think he like punches some dude's heart out or chest stomach open or some shit at one sequence. It just gives no fuck about what's realistic. It's made a movie. They made a movie and it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I gave that one a 6 out of 10.
I also gave it about a 6 out of 10. It's fun, enjoyable. I wouldn't say entirely memorable, but somewhat memorable.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate it. I felt like some of the fight scenes, although I think all the fight scenes are really well choreographed, not all of them are very well shot.
No, there's
So,
definitely problems with it. I'm guessing they had to take some shortcuts because of budgets.
mhm,
Well,
probably.
just Born Identity, a couple segments of these fights to make it less stressful for our people or whatever. Less work.
Mhm.
By the way, can I just say that whole Born Identity shit, where they like cut fit every 4.5 frames and shit on a fight scene, so you can't possibly tell what's happening and you're as disoriented as the characters. I do not like that. That's not a good idea. I really, really am so disappointed in the universe for letting that becoming the popular way of doing fight scenes, because like every movie after that started doing that shit instead of Jackie Chan's way of making it a piece of art where people were fighting in it. Like, I know I say it all the time, but Jackie Chan's way of doing action scenes is the best and probably the only way an action scene should be done now for anything that has like close combat fights. Gunfights are a whole other thing. That requires lots of cutting, I'm sure. Can't really
Jackie
shoot
Chan is
blanks at each other
awesome.
anymore now since the death of Brandon Lee. They don't let you fire them at each other anymore. So, but yeah,
Thankfully, you don't really have to because you got CGI. And I tell you what,
it's true.
I don't necessarily think CGI gunfire is good, but I do like it better than people getting killed accidentally. So I'll take it.
Right? It's like it's a
It's
trade
something
off.
I'm willing to accept. You know.
So low budget films use CGI gunfire, and then most big budget films use a mix. Just depends on
Mhm.
what they're doing. If there's people in the scene, they'll do CGI. If it's just like a single shot of a person shooting, they might do blanks for realism. It depends on the budget and what the director decides. What the effects person probably advises them. You know. So, yeah. What was next? Oh, Bob Lazar. Can you take it away from Bob Lazar while I clear this bong?
We watched a documentary about Bob Lazar, the guy who supposedly worked at Sector
Site 4.
4.
Site 4.
What?
Also known as
Site
S4.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Area
That Groom
51,
Lake facility, colloquially known as Area 51.
who came out in the mid 80s or late 80s and
Something like that.
started talking about how he had been working on like reverse engineering
Trying
UFOs.
to, anyway.
And I guess at the time he said he had seen aliens, but um, he has since kind of retracted that. And he says, actually, I think they were just, what did he say?
Dummies for sizing the ships because they
Dummies.
were made for
Mm.
smaller framed people.
Which they called the children, apparently. Okay. Creepy.
Because they're only like 4 feet tall. It makes sense.
Hmm.
It makes sense. So, yeah, this is a pretty good recounting of the history of Bob Lazar. And, like, it talks about how he does, like, some interview pieces where he's like, I don't really want to be famous. Yeah, this is the second time been in a documentary. Um, uh, there's some flaws here, though.
Hmm.
Why don't you tell us about those flaws? Probably
All
say
right.
more
So
eloquent than I will.
the guy who made the documentary
Jeremy
is
Corbell.
in the documentary way too much.
Yes, he becomes the Jeremy Corbell show.
Um, there are way too many shots of him just, sitting down at a computer, typing something up, or even just looking pensive for some reason as he's staring at a computer, you know. Um, Mickey Rourke does the voiceover work for the film. He does a fantastic job, but it's like a little much for what you're seeing, It's he having Mickey Rourke do the voiceover for this documentary is overkill. and so it doesn't really fit too
Well,
well because of
look,
that. And it's not Mickey Rourke's fault.
if it
It's
was more
just
plain stuff, like like Bob Lazar moved this, like it's telling us like bits of the story, it would been fine. What it is just like pseudo macho health help bullshit. Like, can you trust a man's memory? He's gotta try. Like, I'm like, oh my fucking god, shut the fuck up! Holy shit! It's trite. I would describe it as very trite. It's not Mickey Rourke's fault. This is terrible writing. Mickey Rourke just like that paycheck, probably a real good paycheck. He probably quoted a real high number, and Jeremy went okay, and then like and Mickey Rourke's like, oh shit, I guess I have to do it now. And then like at the last minute, Corbell's like freaking out, so he just fucking finds impersonal quotes about memory. He's like Google searching quotes about memory and quotes about like believing things and like, oh my goodness, it's just it goes on and on and on. It's like 20 minutes of this movie. It's 1000% padding. Sorry for coughing.
and then there are a bunch of there's a bunch of B-roll that he puts in there, which is like CGI animated uh, effects of UFOs flying by or aliens and stuff like that, set across like a really cheap and not good looking background. It does not look too good.
Yeah,
The B-roll footage, at least.
these are the flaws of the film. That being said, I thought it was a pretty good
Yeah,
documentary, or a good watch, I should say.
it's worth watching if only to learn more about Bob Lazar if you don't know anything about him, because at least some of his theories or the things that he talks about, um, they at least seem plausible. Like if whether or not you believe that he actually reverse engineered UFOs, the information he puts forward about how they work, if you look at it from a point of view of how they could work or how uh, flight could function in future technology,
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting concept of using gravitational force to
Yep.
propel something forward. It sounds really interesting to me, and I hope that actually becomes a thing, whether it is real now or just
Yeah.
somebody's going to be inspired by this to make it real.
So previously in 2018, we had watched the 2017 documentary Patient 17, which we did not rate very high at all. I give a 3 out of 10.
Which one?
The Patient 17. This one,
Oh,
this one, I have to say, Jeremy Corbell has improved as a filmmaker. He is. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's okay right now. He went from a bad documentary to a decent documentary, and I have no doubt that his future documentary. I don't think Surf and Skinwalker is his latest. I think it's the one between those two. But like his future documentary, I look forward to actually seeing because one, hopefully there's less of him in it, and two, hopefully it has improved in quality even more or gotten worse, and then there's a whole something else to talk about. Either one works for me.
yeah. Um, there's a lot of positing in the documentary that this is this is tied to that. This happened because of this, and it's just like in reality, it's more than likely coincidence.
Yeah.
But they put it forward as there's no way this is coincidence, and it's like,
And it's
well,
interesting that he did talk about that,
it's probably
the element
coincidence.
113 or whatever, and then like literally days later, the FBI raids him.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is,
that's just
but
that's a cosmic coincidence. It's fucking interesting. It's like a lot. There's a lot of this in the world, right? It's just like there's a coincidence that 1 in a million chance, right?
just like it was a cosmic coincidence that a few days after we watched this documentary, the Pentagon comes out and says, "We're pretty sure UFOs exist."
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought it was like I said. I gave this documentary 6 out of 10. I think that's a generous rating. I think a 5 out of 10 is perfectly reasonable rating. I think that's what you gave it what you said last time or previous time recording this show.
Yeah,
Uh,
5 out of
next,
10. If I'm honest.
next up is Army of the Dead. And first, I know some people have talked about this on the internet, but I noticed this right away when we were
Not many
watching.
people. I don't think anybody's like big
Uh,
as talking about it or anything.
yes, big. There's a specific big YouTuber, RLM, that was talking about this. Red Letter Media.
Mhm.
Now,
Well, that was a joke, by the way.
I know. Okay, so a lot of people were talking about the fact that this film has a very shallow film field depth. First, it's shot on digital. This is Zack Snyder's first digital project. This is one. I think it's one of his first films being his own DP. Also, he's his own cinematographer. His previous cinematographer for all the other movies is actually on a billboard in the movie as a magician when they start walking into Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So, thing that this is shot in a red 4K camera. It uses a 1960s Canon Dream lens, which is a very shallow depth of field lens. It gives a dreamlike quality when you shoot on film. But when you shoot on digital, it just makes a really short and shallow focal length. So you're talking; these two characters are talking, and literally the focus is just going whoop 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 whoop, and they're talking back and forth, and it's kind of
It's very
distracting.
distracting. It's
Yeah,
very distracting.
very distracting. I mean, the film has flaws, right? That being said, I gave this a really good rating. So let's talk about it. What do you have some thoughts? I just wanted to throw that out there. That was my one biggest complaint about the whole movie was that lens.
I was muted for a second there. My thoughts about this movie about Army of the Dead are, I think, I could just succinctly just sum it up to, uh, not love letter. I had the word I wanted to use here. Uh, it insists upon itself. No, it
No, no,
feels like
it's
it
an homage.
is an homage, but also a vanity project. It has very
Oh
much a
yeah,
vanity project feel to it.
it is. This is a film with an auteur. He produced, wrote, directed, and DP'd this movie, and camera operated it. So remember how I say like all those positions that are creative need to be done by one person? Zack Snyder did it. He did something that
Mhm.
Hitchcock never did. Control every aspect of his
Yeah,
movie.
Hitchcock, you lose it.
I'm just saying, Hitchcock, they always throw around the auteur theory with him, but like, he wrote, he didn't write his scripts always. He didn't DP his films. He didn't camera operate. He didn't block it out. Zach did all that shit.
Mhm.
It's wild. I mean, it's like mind boggling. But yes, it is definitely a vanity project, and
Sorry.
it's definitely Zack Snyder working through some of his stuff. I'm not gonna go into depth
Um,
of that, but like, there's a lot of things here that make kind of like, that's you see enough movies, you're like, okay, I see what's going on here.
so
Not that it's a bad thing.
before we get too much into the negatives that I think we're going to talk about for this movie, I do also just want to say, like, I do think it's a good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I liked it more than the last Romero of the Dead movie that I had seen, which was, I think it was Land of the
And I
Dead.
hugely disagree with that statement. I think Land of the Dead's a way better and more nuanced and just better created piece of art than this.
Okay, to be fair, I do need to rewatch that one,
We will be
but
rewatching it because it's one of my favorites. I saw it in theaters
based on
with
my
my
last
friends,
viewing of it,
and
like,
my
I
friends dressed
liked
up as
it, but I
zombies,
didn't
dude.
think it was good as this.
I saw opening night, midnight. Two friends were dressed as zombies in the crowd. It's so fucking cool.
Nice.
I'm literally watching the movie, zombie, zombie. It's like, this is how to watch The Land of the Dead. Sorry, I didn't even talk over you, but
Oh, it's okay.
as you were saying,
Um,
Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. I don't know why particularly I liked it better. I maybe it's just there were just certain elements of it. I think actually it was just the style of it that felt uh better to me than Land of the Dead. Because it seemed like at that point, Land of the Dead, they were kind of getting into the cheaper side of things, and this movie, Army of the Dead, does not feel as cheap to me as Land of the Dead felt. You're muted.
Dead cost 90 million, so let me go see what Land of the Dead costs, and then I'll do the I'll adjust of course for inflation.
CPI calculator. But yes, the casting was all pretty damn excellent. Dave Bautista, I love Dave Bautista and pretty much everything he's done in the last 10, 15 years. He's really like, I remember when people were talking about him starring in a Marvel movie and saying, I don't know.
I was
You
iffy
know, I'm
about
not
him. I was
yeah, I'm
iffy
not
about
sure
him.
about this. He hasn't really had a good track record, but he uh became a better actor and he's just become one of the better action
Ah, there we
art
go.
actors of the
Okay.
past decade or so.
Okay, so we do this sometimes, chat, when we're watching movies. Guess the budget for Land of the Dead.
I'm gonna say 25 million.
Too much. It was 15 million.
Oh,
That's why it feels cheap, because it is cheap. It's
yeah.
20.
Well,
What?
there's
What year is
nothing
that?
wrong with that.
20.
It still
20
fucking works. It's
2005.
just, it's going to impact the overall quality of
Oh
the
yeah.
film, sadly,
Hmm.
when you're trying to do a movie like that.
Oh, I don't disagree.
Oh,
I love the movie, but I don't disagree. I don't disagree that I mean, it has flaws. It has huge flaws. You know, big gaping wide flaws. Wiping gate. That's not. That's not how that's supposed to be said. Hi, Skeletor. Oh, what a cutie. Oh, cat
this
break.
kitten is trying to give me the sign that I need to give her more treats. And I'm saying no, because she's literally begging me for treats like every 2 hours.
Cat. That's the cat tax. We pay the cat tax.
Yes, cute kitten.
All right, we're talking about Army of the Dead. I gotta add that to the
Now
list.
she's going to eat me because I am not letting her go.
um, yeah. So I really enjoyed Zack Snyder and Zack Snyder. Fucking Dave Batista. I don't know why I said Zack Snyder because I looked at fucking Zack Snyder's name. That's my brain. That's how it works. And yeah, this was God. So they're doing it's basically like Alien. Like they Red Letter Meter brought up that like there's a lot of references to Alien. And I know for a fact there's that scene where like the guy's laying on the ground and he's like, "Help me up," and he goes to pick him up and he gets attacked. That's a direct, I mean, literally shot for shot scene from American Werewolf in London. I saw that and I'm like, that's American Werewolf in London. I think you said it actually out loud, but I said it in my brain. I think you asked if that was American Werewolf in London thing reference.
I
No,
remember that.
I thought you could have asked. I thought you asked that. Anyway, I thought he mentioned that it was American Werewolf in London. I was like, yeah, it really was. I was like, I knew it in my brain. Like immediately when I saw it, I was like, hey. So there's some references. Like there's a character who wears a bandana throughout the movie. One of the characters who dies early on, but that's and like she's dressed similarly to like Vasquez and like from
Yeah.
Aliens, and they're like doing there's a bunch of little things from Aliens, like the CEO like betraying everybody. They even mention that the guy's gonna betray them, but they should shoot him, and they don't. That's my big flaw about this
I mean,
movie.
I don't
They know
even
the
think
guy's gonna
that.
betray them, and they just let him live. Like I would have just
Right. But
fucking he would been my tribute.
I don't think, what I'm saying is, I don't think that's necessarily that can be attached specifically and only to aliens
No,
because
no, 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 no.
it's a trope from fucking,
Correct. But it's the way
sci-fi
it's structured in
post-apocalypse.
this film that it's very similar to Aliens, second one.
I would say it's the structure of the film that the rest of the structure of the film that is similar to Aliens that makes people tie that aspect of it to Aliens, but I don't think that aspect
Because
of it
like
is necessarily
no,
based on
no,
Aliens.
no. I think there's a direct. I don't think it's like intentional. I think it's like Zack Snyder loves that movie, and so it's coming out in that. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's like. It's not like
Could be.
he's going. I'm going to reference Alien with this whole sequence. It's he's seen Aliens 5 bajillion times, like you or I, right? And he's
Mhm.
unconsciously laying the scene out because he knows it. His brain knows it works already. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. That's literally filmmaking 101. You watch enough
Mhm.
movies that your brain just understands the timing. You watch enough good movies and bad movies. You know what bad timing is and good timing is. You know what rhythm of editing you can like. It's like you start seeing inside the Matrix when you're watching movies. After like the first couple thousand, you're like,
Mhm.
it's like you like start seeing the code and how they're put together when you start watching a behind the scenes documentaries. It's like you can get
And that's
film
one of the
school.
reasons why
You know,
there's no such thing as necessarily an original concept in
no,
film.
there's none. Every movie you've ever
It's like
seen is references to
everything's
another
been done.
movie, you know,
It's
or
all
something
been
else.
done.
Yeah, it's either referenced by another piece of art, or something from that person's life. I think there are elements in this movie that are a reference to his life as an example, and I think there's lots of references in this movie, references to our current political climate, the walled city,
Yes.
the temperature checks, the
He's
internment
definitely
camps.
making a political statement
Excuse me,
several
the
times too.
refugee camps, whatever you call them, what you want. It's an internment camp. Um, so like,
It's
uh,
interesting that this came out right after the whole Israel-Palestinian conflict too.
well, that
It's
was
like that
totally
clearly was
unintentional, I
not,
think.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was not an intentional aspect
no,
of it, but in many ways, some of the political aspects of the film are also relevant to that
I
as
think that's just
well.
echoing and mirroring the Odie sentiment.
It's just
It's
a
an echo.
coincidence
Yeah, it's an echo
because
and mirror of our society in general.
because sadly these things keep happening throughout the world, not
Yeah,
just in America.
it's cyclical.
So
But yeah, so
yeah,
there are all these references to like real life and politics and all sorts of other things, right? It's all over the place. It's fine. Like I feel like this movie is too long. I felt like the movie was long by the time I looked at the thing and it was still an hour and 15 minutes left. I knew it was
I
long
like
going in, but
I
like
looked at about 50 minutes left, and I was like, "Damn, really?"
that's what see. If I looked at the time on purpose, that means there's a pacing issue. I think personally, and that's different for
Mhm.
each person. That's why I say personally, it felt like too long. Not that I think movies should be stuck to 90 minutes. I'm not one of them
Yeah.
stuffed shirts. I'd let it fail. I'd rather 1,000 movies like this that are too long, but an artist gets to express themselves, than a
Mhm.
1,000 90-minute movies where the artist feels suffocated or smothered. Okay, 1,000 times. I'm taking 1,000 5-hour movies, 1,000 of them over 90-minute chopped up messes. Okay, 1,000 times. Okay, in a heartbeat. Not even a contest. Because I've always stand behind that an artist should get to do their art, however they want to do it, within the
Yes.
constrictions of the budget, obviously. So,
Yeah. I didn't necessarily have a problem with the pace of the film
whew, I'm very high.
or with how long it was. It was a long movie, but I kind of expect that from Zack Snyder at this point.
I'm not
So I
bothered
was
by
like,
long
yeah,
movies.
okay.
It just felt like there were a lot of
Yeah.
scenes that like it's hard to express, right? It's like there were scenes where I just like the fucking tiger attack. Red Lady Media talked about this, but like it was a good point. We watched that scene for like almost a whole minute, that whole attack, but like is it necessary? Couldn't you have just had the sound of the
Do it.
tiger, the character turns, the tiger fills the screen, cut to black, cut to now we're somewhere else. You know what happened. Did you really need to see the graphic scene? That's the kind of there's a lot of that kind of stuff in the movie. Like
Listen,
little things. And it
I
adds up.
I I will be the one who says yes. You absolutely fucking need to see every bit of that
I,
scene because
it's
that
good.
guy's the fucking asshole of the horror movie. And as anybody who watches horror movies know, you want to see the asshole die in a miserable fucking fashion. You don't want them to fucking cut away. You want to see it all in gory
If you
fucking
were a
detail.
filmmaker and you were in control of this, would you make it so that that person's death is the result of the characters getting revenge on them? So like they meet them at another door. They're about to go through, and the hero just locks the door real quick, and then you hear the tiger, and he turns around,
uh,
and
yeah.
then the hero goes bye and just walks away.
Rather than just it being kind of a coincidence
Yes,
that it's random
that's why I'm saying like things like that.
happenstance.
Like
I agree that
I don't
that
necessarily.
part
I'm
of
not
it.
telling him to have like his art. I'm
Yeah.
just saying like as a filmmaker, I would have done something different. That's it.
And there were many little. That's the thing
Yeah,
in terms of the issues of the movie. There are
just
many
little.
little issues like that
Most of them are
throughout
little.
the fucking movie.
Most of them are
It's
little
just like,
issues.
yeah,
I would say Army of the Dead overall is a very entertaining film. I enjoyed myself. I will definitely be watching it again on Blu-ray since Netflix pixel crushed the shit out of this movie. Like, there's macro blocking all over this, and it's probably because everyone's fucking streaming it. But like, when this comes out on Blu-ray, I'm
it's
probably buying it.
also just Netflix.
One, I
If
want
you don't have their highest quality service, they don't give you even
like
halfway decent.
the reality is I always want I keep wanting to hate Zack Snyder, but he keeps making good movies, so I have to like his movies, right? So like I can't. And everyone says he's a good guy. It's like whatever, okay, whatever. So he's a good person. I don't give a shit. I just want good movies. He makes good movies. That's all that matters, right? He just gives me that like that dude bro.
As long as you're not a terrible, terrible person,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know
like
if he's
okay.
a terrible person. Everyone thinks he's a
I
good person, so whatever.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I don't think he's a terrible person.
No, no, no.
But
So like,
hard to know for sure. You don't know the
I
guy.
like
We
his
know
movies.
the
I
guy.
really want this on Blu-ray so I can hear his commentary. I want to see. I want to hear why, because he talks about his choices. He talks about the reasons he does. He is a real film fan in a way that many directors are just. It's a job that they love. It's not the same thing to them. He's a film fan on top of being a filmmaker. So those are not necessarily the two things that are the same. I'm a film fan and I know how to be a filmmaker. I haven't exercised any of that in a while. I would like to. It would be nice. Maybe when we move out, we could talk about doing stuff like that. Just little stuff, but like, I'm not worried about it right now. So like, I went to film school, so I know how to do all this stuff. He is both of those things, and so like, when you listen to his commentary, he's like, "Oh, I chose this because I saw this one film, blah blah blah." And he tells you what film it is. He like names drops a giallo, and you're like, "Oh shit, he watches giallo! Holy crap!" Sorry, giallo. I just butchered that. But like, you know what I
He
mean? Like
watches Jello.
Jello. Oh shit. Yeah, I know. Like he's a film fan, so like when he talks about his movies, he's generally talking about the reasons for doing things, his choices, and like sometimes it's just I thought that was cool. I'm like fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought that was cool is not a good enough reason, not a motivation for a shot in a movie, but like at least he's honest. Unlike Christopher Columbus, who never motivates his shots.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There
I have a
is
hate relationship with Christopher Columbus.
I hate really.
Yes,
Uh,
I hate his movies
there's a
except for a few.
reason that I described this movie as
Gremlins.
gratuitous originally because it
Gratuitous.
is very gratuitous.
Yeah, excessive actually.
Excessive, especially down to what I would say the
Indulgent.
music indulgent, but the music is the thing I wanted to talk about in this movie that I almost forgot about. Got to move on probably, but before we do, let me address
absolutely
the fact that the music almost, except for one song, as far as I could tell, almost every single fucking song in this movie was a cover of a classic song.
I think there were two not covers, but there's no listing of songs, so I can't confirm yet. Also, if I remember correctly, Thomas Holkenberg, didn't he do the music? Junkie XL, yes, Thomas Holkenberg,
yeah.
Same person. That's the same person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the score in this is great. I mean, I don't know what it is about Junkie XL, but his scores are just like they hit the right spot for me. I can listen to all of them. This is no exception. His musical pieces are great. The only cover I had a problem with is Fortune Son,
Yeah.
whatever it's called. That's it. That's the only one I thought like, really? I don't think that's that's. I feel like
did we need this? Yeah.
I don't know. It's just my personal taste. I wanted to use it. That's it. And like, and I won't. I don't even mark. The movie didn't get a mark at all for that. That's my own personal taste. I never gave it a negative mark for that. Just be clear.
The other one that made me go really was at the tail end when they played the cover of Zombie. Cranberries Zombie. I'm like, come on. The reason I don't like that choice is because
What?
if you know anything about the Zombie
Cranberries. The Cranberries song.
If you know anything about that fucking song and what it's about, then it's like, why would you use it for this?
He's using it for the literal term of zombie.
Right, exactly, and so it's
inappropriate in my opinion.
Emotionless and
it's emotionless.
Pointless and,
It has exactly
Yeah,
no emotion behind it. It's just a song with the word zombie in it.
I'm doing a movie with zombies in it, so I'm gonna use the fucking
Should have.
zombie song.
You
Like,
know,
oh my god,
there are like
stop!
5 songs you could have like strung together for your entire credits. I mean, like, I would have paid all 5 of those Misfits songs,
And it would have made sense
and
since
that
they
would have
had
been
zombie
amazing.
dancing. They had zombie dancing in this movie for
Yeah.
fuck's sake. So would have made sense.
Oh my god, it's zombies and like, yeah, the alpha male zombie, because the zombies here are like super soldier. There's a few of them that are like super soldiers. The rest are just regular running zombies. So
Mhm.
there are there's a few like lieutenant zombies, and there's a king and queen, and the king is like evil Elvis, aka Danzig,
Evil
or
Elvis.
John Zandig,
Listen,
which
listen.
is a wrestler. I mean, he looks like Zandig more than he looks like Danzig, but that's right.
I challenge anybody to watch that movie and think just somebody put up a fucking picture of Glenn Danzig like a year or two ago,
I'm
right?
sure there is a
And
video
a
on YouTube.
picture
Someone has
of
already
this.
done it. I'm sure it's already been done, 100%. I guarantee it's already been done.
Uh,
But that being said, I think it's a cool idea. It's not my favorite idea. It's been done before. Even Land of the Dead did it. It's almost like an homage to Land of the Dead, with the fact that they had the Big Daddy in that, which is the name of the zombie, the lead zombie in that.
almost
That
felt
was
like there
like
were some. Sorry,
that
go ahead.
element of Land of the Dead is the part element I was not super keen on, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate any of it. It's just like that's where like I don't know if I do that, but it's not like it's the end of the world. It doesn't ruin the
Yeah.
movie in any way. So
It almost felt like there were some elements that were kind of maybe referencing, maybe paying homage to some of the more modern
there's a
horror
fine line
games as
between those two
well.
things, to be fair.
Like in many ways, it kind of felt almost like a Resident Evil movie,
Very much so.
and in other ways, it felt like it was almost in some ways referencing like The Last of Us,
I mean, maybe
a
it's very
game. It's
possible,
like,
but it's
is it
like,
possible that he's kind of referencing and paying homage to some classic horror games? Is what I'm wondering
oh,
here.
absolutely. I mean, it's
Plastic being
possible. I
used
mean, like I don't know what its references. I haven't heard the commentary,
liberally.
isn't it? But that's why I'm looking forward to it because you'll tell us all those
Yeah,
things, right? Like we should sit. We should. You know
clearly
what?
he was inspired by a lot of
You
different
know?
things from this
Do
movie,
you
though.
have? Do you have any Zack Snyder films within reach?
No.
Uh, I'm like, we should
I
totally
can tell
watch
you
one
that
with a
right now.
commentary for next week, and just so we can talk about.
Mm.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like Watchmen with commentary. It's pretty cool.
I had another thing in mind, but
That whatever. It's fine.
I'll discuss that later.
My point being, I think that'd be really cool to maybe cover a movie with a commentary on every now and then. No schedule to it, just when we feel like it. Like I
Yeah.
just anyway. So yeah, I liked Batista in this really a lot, like a really a lot. Did I mention that? We mentioned that, didn't we? Yeah.
I think
Batista
so.
is immensely likable.
There you
He's immensely likable in pretty much everything he's done, and in fact, I added all his movies to my watch list, so eventually we'll end up watching them. Because what I usually do is I go to Letterboxd, I go to streaming only. It tells me everything's most of the time very accurate about what's streaming. I think there's bleed over between the 2 months, the gap between 1 month and the next, where it kind of hiccups. And like the other day, we were looking for one, and I kept pulling up ones that had been removed just recently. So it's like, okay, my bad. That's not, yeah. So, but I mean, I'll check that next time before I recommend things, of course. Um, so I hope we see more Batista, like his earlier action films, because I want to see how much he carries. Because like he did like 5 action movies before he ever did Guardians, and he took acting lessons between those 5 action movies and Guardians. So, but I don't know how much that changes, because like I mean he's really good now. So like whatever he's doing good. So I'm a fan. He's like
go.
he's like he's up there with like The Rock or John Cena, who I'm not a fan of anymore. I'm upset with John Cena because he like
Well, I was pissed with that. You
yeah
talking about what he just recently said
denied
about.
Taiwan its
Yeah,
existence by apologizing to
I
China
wasn't
for
really
calling them a
pissed. I
country.
understood why he did it, but like
It's because he's
at
got a
the
boss
same
ahead
time,
of him.
it's like, wow, you're a coward, dude. What
If
the
he
fuck?
doesn't do it, he'll never get another job, and he's trying to
Yeah,
make a career, and
I
I get
get,
it. But like,
I get it, but it's
he's a
like, oh
coward.
fuck's sake.
What a
Like,
cowardly thing to do. Legit
it,
cowardly.
eh.
And so I'm just
And I
like, I
get
lost a
like,
lot of respect for a guy who I had a lot of
yeah,
respect for. I hate him as a
it's
wrestler,
like,
but like as a
okay,
person, I liked him,
on paper, maybe Taiwan isn't a country anymore,
quote
but
unquote.
that's on paper. De facto, over 50 fucking countries acknowledge
It's
and accept Taiwan as a
it's
country, de
only
facto.
on paper because fucking mainland is pushing their
Yeah,
erasure. That's it for the last 50 years.
China. It's because
Yeah,
China
mainland.
has
They're
tons of
both like
fucking power.
technically they're both
Like,
called China. One is the People's Republic of China. One's called the
yeah,
Republic of China or something like that because they're different. They were
well, that's
split.
part of what they're doing.
They had a
Yes,
civil war. They split,
that's
and
part of what they're doing to try and make it like this isn't its own country anymore. It's like,
the only reason why China hasn't taken it over is because of political pressure. That's it. That's it. They would be seen as like a huge bad guy. So they've just been instead diminishing their existence in this public circle talk, as a speak,
which
of
is
the
terrible.
discourse. Discourse.
That's the same thing that happened to the
They're
Palestinians.
erasing them. Yeah. Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
I mean that's a whole other can of worms. But yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, as far as wrestlers go, John Cena is like fifth or sixth best now when it comes to acting. I'm sorry, Hulk Hogan the racist went ahead of him
I
slightly,
mean,
but only because
John
Santos
Cena was
muscles is
never
great.
necessarily a great actor. I think he's been decent in a few things,
I
but
really wanted to see him as Peacemaker, and now I'm kind of like bummed because like, oh, yeah, it's a little sour taste in it. I was like, oh, all right,
it is a bit
not a
of a
big deal.
sour.
I'll get over it. Next, we watched In a Lonely Place from 1950.
Which is one of my favorite film noirs,
It was his pick.
uh, because there are a lot of film noirs that have the typical uh, the detective story, right? The hard-boiled detective novel kind of aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
And this also has elements of that, but it's more focused on Hollywood. And the main character is played by Humphrey Bogart is a screenwriter. Um, and as a writer myself, not necessarily that I relate to him as a writer because he's a friggin' unlikable
He's an
bastard.
incredibly
But
unlikable person.
but
I was really upset with him by the end of the movie. Like, you son of a bitch. I was hoping he'd
but there were
reform a
certain
little.
elements.
I was hoping there'd be
Yeah.
like a silver lining, like you can see he's at least improving as a person. He might be better in the future. No, he's a piece of
So
shit. He's a piece of
it's like
shit, and I hate his
when
guts.
the end came up on the screen, I was just like, and fuck your happy ending.
Yeah,
You know?
wasn't even like a glimmer of hope. There's no hope in this movie. In a
Nope.
lonely places where you
That's
feel after this fucking movie.
that's one of the things I think makes it as good as it is because
Yeah.
film noir is supposed to not necessarily be about a lack of hope, but it's supposed to have that element of there being a lack of hope,
Well, and
right?
his character
Some of the
is
best ones out
himself
there are like that.
in a lonely place, both in his career, in his life, in his time of his life, and in his he's depressed, so he's in a lonely place, and there's all these people like it's like he himself can't see himself to be happy either, so he's sabotaging himself at every turn.
And I
He's
love how
actually a
they,
deeply complex character that I really like
yes.
appreciate, even though I hate his guts.
Well, the part of it that I appreciate in terms of his character is that uh, at the time they still didn't really know any much of anything about PTSD or about
Mm-hmm.
mental issues that people would either have
Anxiety was nothing. They didn't know what the fuck anxiety
or
was.
develop because they were in the war, which his character was in the war. He was a commanding officer, I think it was. But like he just has these random outbursts of violence for seemingly no reason, resorts to violence quite frequently, which makes him a convenient character for the cops to try and pin it on the whatever happened in the movie we won't discuss, you know. But it makes him a convenient character to pin any violent crime on, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you come to find out throughout the movie is that this guy's just fucking deeply troubled. He has probably has some kind of a mental disorder, but they didn't know what that looked like at the
Yeah.
time. So this movie does a pretty damn good
He's just a
job of
degenerate to them.
describing.
That's it. You didn't understand.
It does a pretty good job of describing kind of some of the elements of what we would come to realize to be a mental disorder
Right.
without putting a name to it because there was really no name for what this person had at the time.
This person
So
needs Bogart's character needs like deep therapy.
yeah. Um,
Many years of therapy. As a reference to Bad Santa. You're welcome.
yes, love it.
Good shit. I
Another
mean,
thing I love
I
about this
bet you there's a
movie,
bunch of jokes in it that don't hold up now, but like in retrospect, but it's I bet you
yeah,
most of it's still funny. Most of it's about him being
another
drunk. So that's alright.
another thing I love about this movie is it is such a harsh indictment of the Hollywood system as it was.
Oh my god.
Uh,
There are a few scenes that are just like, this is Hollywood. This is how it works. This is how you get fucked. This is how things really are. We're just gonna kind of, they don't sugarcoat it at all. They're basically just
yeah,
showing you the behind the scenes of Hollywood, but all the names have been changed. You know?
right. And it's so surprising in a way that this even got put out because it's clearly talking about specific people without using specific names
Oh yeah.
and about Hollywood in general and the way things work and how the person who wrote this story was not happy with the way things worked. So,
Deeply unsatisfied, you can tell.
if I recall correctly, I think the original writer or one of the original writers behind the story, there might have been multiple, I can't remember, but I do remember someone who was attached to this movie being like blacklisted at some point
Oh, I
because
bet.
like it was in the 50s. It's
The trivia didn't
that's
tell
when the
me anything about that.
McCarthyism era starts. So
When I looked at
yeah,
the trivia, it didn't say anything about that. Yeah,
I
like
might
when we
be
were
thinking about
watching.
something else, but I think that's the case.
I mean,
Anyways,
it's not. I mean, may not be wrong. I'm just saying. I don't remember. I can grace the
it was
trivia real
that
quick.
era, which makes it though even more surprising that it got put out because it's like, well, they're on tippy toes. They're very likely to turn down something at that point that's even remotely critical of anything remotely political, let alone criticizing
I got no hits for
the
the word
studio system that they
blacklist.
exist in. So, okay, then I'm thinking of something else. But anyway,
I just looked for the word list because I was just gonna find it. Hey, this is added to the
anyways,
National Film Registry in 2007.
God, it's also, and this is the way I watched it with her on Criterion.
I'm probably
This is
gonna
a
pick
very
that
nice
up.
Criterion.
It's really good.
Yes. Um, which comes with audio commentary with film scholar Dana Poland. I'm a Stranger Here myself, a 1975 documentary about Nicholas Ray, the director. Uh,
Ooh, I
interview
want
with
even more now.
biographer Vincent Curcio about actor Gloria Graham. Piece from 2002 featuring filmmaker Curtis Hanson. Radio adaptation from 1948 of the original Dorothy B. Hughes novel broadcast on the program Suspense. And
Ooh.
a trailer and essay, of course.
So this, my Edward G. Ulmer noir, also has the documentary about him from 2004.
I still need to get that.
You need to. It's so good. I can't wait to watch. I'm literally waiting to watch it with you. It's just hidden back there, so don't worry about it. You know.
And she won't even let me watch the public domain print
No,
because
it looks dog shit. I mean, it looks awful. I'm like, I mean, if it was the only one available, but now there's a Criterion release, so it's like, so there's an inside joke in this movie in that Dix's screenplay. His main character's name is Dix. It's just a little on the nose. Um,
Dixon Steel.
yeah, Dick Steele. So
To
the
be
inside
fair,
joke
that
is
is the kind of naming that kind of naming structure that they used in the pulp novels that kind of
yeah,
inspired these movies. So
but he's not a detective in this case, and so anyway,
yeah,
so
yeah.
so it's his name instead of his job, and they can still get the fucking pun out there about him being a dick. Anyway, so apparently there's an inside joke with the screenplay. He mentions that the screenplay doesn't follow the book because this is based on a book, and this movie doesn't follow the book at all either. So that's like an inside joke to how that keeps happening.
Yeah, and a lot of great lines in this movie too.
So yeah, it's really good.
Yes. There's a reason it's one of my favorite movies from that era. I would say that if you like this, you should also go find some of the Oh shit. Brain just failed me. Shit. There are some the Big Sleep, I want to say, is a good one that you should watch. Trying to remember some of the titles
Charade.
here. The Fritz Lang ones. The Fritz Lang
Oh, M.
film noir movies.
M. I mean, I
I
haven't seen
haven't
it
seen
yet,
it.
but
I haven't
M.
even seen M yet, but
I've got M. I
I've
just
seen
haven't
some of
watched
the
it
other
yet.
ones like While the City Sleeps. Fucking phenomenal. That one, if you liked In a Lonely Place, While the City Sleeps is basically In a Lonely Place, but with the newspaper industry. So,
There is
yeah.
also the Samuel Furlow ones that are released through Criterion, which is fuck, I can't remember them now because I've blanked. There's a couple. There's like three or four of them that Criterion's released. The Samuel Fuller did like 8 fucking noir films. I mean, like the other ones are released
Yeah.
by Indicator in that box set, I think. So it's like, yeah. Fuck, what was the name of it? Shock Quarter was named one of the movies.
Yeah.
And it was something like that. Something to Kiss, Last Kiss, something like that. Kiss, Naked Kiss. The Naked Kiss is the other movie. Those are the two I'm
There are
remembering.
a lot of noir movies with Kiss in the title. So I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. But no, those are the two.
Kiss
Yeah.
Me Deadly.
Oh, I have that one also actually.
I have that
Um,
one, yeah. I don't know where it is,
that's
but
on
I have that
Criterion also. Mine's in a weird slimy case, and I'd love to replace it someday.
one.
I bought it used, and it's like, oh, it's got a weird residue on the case itself.
Hmm.
Last and definitely least, we watched Polaroid from 2019. So this film was made in
Definitely least.
2017. There were some heavy reshoots, and then it was about to release, and they shelved it, and then they were going to release it again, and the pandemic happened, and then finally they came out on streaming, and it's a baby's first horror film. It's really basic,
And I think you mean that not only in terms of like
not in a
the
derogatory term.
viewership, but also in terms of the movie and the way it was made by the people who made it.
And I mean and I mean that and I don't mean it in a derogatory sense because it's literally just like it's a real basic horror film. Haunted camera.
Yeah.
Take the photos. There's a shadow in that photos that kills them. If you burn the photos, it hurts the person in real life. They catch on fire. That was the one part where like it felt a little absurd, but then it kept going with it. It just leaned into it, and I was like okay with it
Yeah.
after a few more times. Like okay, so like
Uh, it doesn't betray its own
it
logic.
never
Yeah.
betrays its own logic. It never does. It's like as much as I thought it was kind of the writing was not great. Uh,
Mhm.
the acting's not great. Like as long as all that stuff is said, it's a really basic horror film. Just a basic.
It really is. If you are at all familiar with the trope of the haunted camera, this is definitely basic bitch shit.
There's
It's
Are You Afraid of the Dark and a Goosebumps and I think even a Twilight Zone with that. So I mean like, it's
wasn't this
a
based on one of those stories?
no. It's like a
Okay,
trope that keeps happening.
it's just a trope.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it
So
just, but while we were watching movies, you mentioned the movie. You mentioned though that it was
it's basically the same plot as the Goosebumps movie.
very
Goosebumps
similar,
one
very
episode.
similar plot to
Hmm.
the Goosebumps story.
But that being said, there are no twists here that'll surprise you, unless once again, it's your first when you haven't seen a lot of horror movies. You might enjoy this if it's like if you're just dipping your toes in. This is a real generic horror film. This is a good baseline of what you expect from equal or better or worse films. It's kind of like it
None of
gives you what you
the
need.
actors or actresses really felt like they stood out at all. I was like, gonna keep an eye on that one and see what they do next. Like, nope. I honestly don't care what any of these people do from here on out.
I mean,
I'm sure
I
some of
hope they
them.
have great
I hope.
careers because
I hope some of them.
I want to be
You
impressed
know.
in the future.
Yeah. I hope some of them do some more stuff and improve upon their roles and whatnot. But
Oh
at the
right,
same time,
I remember now.
this movie just did not inspire me to want to be on the lookout for anything they did.
I'm probably never
And
watch it again.
it was directed by the
I was
same
gonna say.
person.
So what happened is this is the first studio film by the guy who directed the Child's Play film, the remake, which I hear is pretty
came
good.
out, I think, at the same
But
time. Or around the
what
same time.
happened was, yeah, it was shelved for in 2017, late 2017, December or so. It was supposed to come out, and so it got shelved, and it was pushed out after Child's Play was a success to cash in on that.
Ah,
So
well, I will say I think Child's Play
or before,
was
but same, you know
a
what I mean.
lot better, but probably because they had a lot better people working on it.
Or they
In
just had a
addition,
bigger budget and
yeah,
less studio interference.
yeah.
I'd say a lot of films are studio interference at some level, either writing or production or post
I
production
mean,
sometimes.
I'm not gonna say that Child's Play is perfect. It has a lot of issues, but I I would say it's like a 7 out of 10. Me and her, we both need to see that movie together. I've seen it
What movie?
myself. Child's Play.
Oh, I need to see it. Yeah, yeah. It's on Amazon Prime. You should
We
see
need
it.
to watch it. Yeah,
But Polaroid it gave a 4 out of 10.
yeah. It was not good. I
Wasn't
think I
bad.
gave it a 3 or 4 out of 10. I
It
can't
wasn't
remember.
bad.
But
I've seen worse,
yeah,
but it wasn't good.
it was trite. We're using that word a lot tonight. Trite.
Sorry, it's just in the dictionary today. Yeah, we just did an hour. I think we're done though.
Yeah. Technically, we did more than an hour, but
Yeah.
we won't
Now
talk
we've done
about
this for 2 hours and we talked about the same amount of movies. Actually, we talked a few more movies more this time.
that.
Jesus Christ.
At least you can be heard this time.
I know. And for some reason, when I got it turned on, it was like blown up, blown out. I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, I'm doing better now. You know?
Yeah.
All right, so
I just double checked to make sure. Like, yep, okay, good.
same time next week. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Pacific.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, knock on wood. Usually we'll be here at 8 p.m. Pacific. We want to try to make it every week, but like last week there was only 3 movies and we didn't really have enough to talk about for like an hour. So we postponed.
It's either going to be every week or every other
I
week.
think what's going to happen is
count on
here's what I
that.
think what's going to happen. When there's not enough to talk about, we're going to do a watch party. I think that's where we do the filler in. That way we have a show every week.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That way we have a show every week. They're all about an hour and a half long. I think this is the way to go. All right,
Down with that.
so that's what's happening. So we'll be back next week, either talking about a bunch of movies we watched, or with a watch party where we're going to talk about a movie while it happens, like we do when we're actually hanging out. It's literally just going to watch us hang out.
Yeah.
You're literally just going to watch us hang out. For
Get
2
your
hours.
Amazon Primes accounted for.
Get them linked to
If you
your
don't
Twitch.
have Amazon Primes, you got to get the Amazon
Yep.
Primes and link it up.
Or I mean, we'll do a countdown anyway for people who have a Blu-ray or are watching it later. You know, because it's going to go up on YouTube. So yeah. Anyway. Thank you for joining us here at Couch Potatoes. We appreciate film like no other, and we try to always be positive, even when we don't really like the movie. So we try to talk about films.
Find things that are good to talk about.
We
the
try
movie,
to
even if
talk
it's
about
bad.
films in a mature and respectful way, even when we have problems about something with the movie. We try to not insult the art or the artist, because we know there are no such thing as a bad movie. Just bad experience watching that art. Not art's made for everybody. So till then, I don't know why I got real serious at the end. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.